Okay, let's do this. Focus. Wait, a dog painted that? Am I worse than a Malinois?
Obviously, nobody planned for this. Nobody decides to just trade their best hours for countless dog videos. It just happens.
We are told this is a willpower problem. I've said that myself, and I still believe it, partly. But I've also stopped pretending that's the whole story, because blaming myself entirely wasn't actually helping me change anything. Our attention is one of the most valuable resources on the planet right now, and I have given enough.
Previously, I spent 7 days auditing my own behavior, like a scientist observing a lab rat. And now, here is how I actually fix my phone habits. Kind of. I've separated this into 3 layers because they kind of work differently and they matter in a very specific order.
Layer 1. Environmental design.
The single highest leverage thing I did was deleting Facebook app. It sounds obvious, and yes, I know, groundbreaking advice from 2012. But for me, Facebook was a slot machine for dopamine hits, not TikTok, and that's just very millennial of me as I'm getting older.
It wasn't just a muscle memory of scrolling. I was hunting for a reason to be annoyed, happy, validated. I deleted the app, and the good news is I haven't logged back in since then. That extra bit of friction of having to enter my password was enough to stop me.
I'm still on Messenger, but I kind of treat it like a physical mailbox. I check it only once a week, deliberately. The second biggest change was geographical. If I'm working on brainstorming new video ideas like this one or writing, all the tasks that require deep focus, I leave my phone in the living room.
If I actually need it nearby, like waiting for a plumber to call, I leave it on my partner's desk. There's something about the proximity of another person, or even just their space, that changes your psychology. It's a lot harder to justify a 20-minute scroll when I feel like my partner is silently calling me out.
Now, Instagram. I still have it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not perfect.
Because I deleted Facebook, my brain naturally tried to migrate that seeking behavior over. I do post on my personal account weekly, so I'm reluctant to delete it. I've tried removing it from the home screen and setting up app limits, but those are too easy to snooze. Over time, tapping that ignore for the day doesn't even trigger guilt anymore.
So I'm testing a different approach. I came across this circuit breaker app called OneSec. It's available on Mac and iPhone, obviously. It doesn't hard block the apps like many others do.
It just forces me to take a deep breath for about 10 seconds before the app opens. That 10-second speed bump is usually enough time for my brain to move from a mindless impulse back into a conscious choice. Most of the time, by the time the breath is over, my brain has already moved on, and I don't want to be on Instagram anymore. Layer 2. Emotional stability.
This is where the real work happened. Like during my audit, I realized my phone wasn't really the problem. It was my inability to sit with task friction and uncertainty.
I left a stable science career to be a YouTuber, and that means dealing with the fact that I'm a novice again. When things got hard or a concept wouldn't land, my brain wanted an exit. And that's where the phone steps in.
To deal with this, I went back to how I used to work as a scientist, which is planning out my week and my day by writing a checklist. I know, no brainer, but all my previous jobs were physically working in a lab and or traveling around, so I was never full-time working from home by myself. I'm just not used to it yet.
At first, I was overfilling my daily list, not really having an awareness of how much I can realistically achieve in a day. And that kind of awareness can only be gained through repetition. There is a specific kind of devastation that comes from planning more than you can achieve. It's called the expectation effect. And that gap between what you thought you would do and what you actually did creates a mental tax.
And let me tell you, falling into that gap costs more to recover from than just being honest with your own capacity in the first place.
Another strategy I used was the colleague reframe. I recall how in previous jobs, whenever a colleague came to me stuck on a problem, I would try to be patient and objective. I would help them find the smallest next step. And I realized I could be that person for others. Why not for
Okay.
myself?
Thank you for entertaining my little shark sketch. Both of us came up with the idea of opening up a cafe called The Great Flat White. Now, seriously, when I do hit a wall, I pause and ask myself, if a friend came to me with this problem, how would I help him or her? And what is the most immediate, smallest next step? If the problem is with writing, usually the advice would be write one bad sentence. It's not end of the world anyway. Nobody's watching this. And I'll do just that instead of reaching for my phone.
The third thing I brought back was origami. When my head isn't clear enough for a reframe,
Great, I can't even throw paper now.
I take that 5 to 15 minutes to fold paper. Yep, fold paper.
So when I was a kid, I would fold frogs and cranes and jars of stars. My latest ones are this goldfish and a blue whale. How cute is that? And I just want to showcase this because I'm really proud of this. I've been keeping it for a long time. So when I was babysitting, my neighbor's kids made this for me. So we were doing origami session and they loved it. It calms them down so much. Now, origami is my voluntary adult timeout.
Origami is just one of those things that require deep focus. By the time the fold is done, my emotional state has shifted.
And the problem didn't go away, it still exists, but at least it's not the same size in my head anymore. And I was able to get back to dealing with the task objectively.
Now back to where it begins. News. Specifically, sensationalized news.
I care about the world, don't get me wrong, but I was checking it way too frequently and I'm in no position to influence world events. I was helping no one and making it worse for myself.
Most news these days is just reaction content. They are noise dressed up as information. Since the audit, I only read the news once a week from Reuters or the Associated Press. It is very intentional. And I ask myself, is there real information here? And is it worth my time? I want to mention one last tool, daily gratitude. And I know, this sounds like a live, laugh, love coaster, but I came back to it because I knew it worked.
So I did this for a whole year after I lost my mom. A page a day. It kept me grounded and really helped keep me going, even though most days I didn't want to get out of bed. I didn't reinvent this for YouTube experiments. I just remember a tool that had worked for me that I stopped using. Of course, I'm using a much smaller book now. So then just really trying to keep it minimal and concise.
It's a reminder that often we don't need a new hack. We just need to pick up the tools we already know how to use.
Here's what I kept circling back to. Our phone is just a tool, and the noise it brought with it was filling up all our mental space. And every intervention that has been done or I did was just a response to that noise.
There's a study from 2014 where the majority of the participants chose to give themselves electric shocks rather than sitting in silence. People would literally rather feel pain than be alone with their own minds.
I'm no different. I'm guilty of this. I made a video about solitude once, but I think I meant solitude with a podcast on. So,
why is it so uncomfortable to be alone with our own minds? And is that a skill we can learn? Because if you're building something, you're alone a lot.
I want to investigate this. I think that will be the next experiment. I hope you enjoyed this video and thank you for bearing with me, tolerating all my little funny sketch. Funny to me. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.